Well, after a long stint in Kentucky, we are back in Texas and in the National Forest catching up on a little scouting. Today is camera day. Loaded up the backpack full of cameras, got a climbing stick, got my wind check, and out here catching up on some spots, checking out some existing spots. This particular spot this morning is a spot that I'm very familiar with, so I'm just coming to refamiliarize myself with it this year and start off this video with anything. It's that getting familiar with spots is probably the best tip that you can take, and what I mean by that is you take 1,000 acres, 500 acres, turn your macro scouting into micro hunting. And what I mean by that is don't get overwhelmed by trying to take on 2,000 or 3,000 acres. Scout it, speed scout it, find an area that holds deer and break it down to about 250 or 300 acre chunks and learn it inside and out, back and forth, all the way across. That way when you bump deer or anything like that and they go a certain direction, you know exactly where they're going. That is the thing that has helped me most out here and all over East Texas, getting used to hunting the big woods over all this time. So if you don't take anything away from this video, you can take that one right off the bat, and you don't even have to watch the rest really, but that's exactly what I'm doing. And actually the spot has changed a lot. There's always a community scrape right here that is even opened up at this point, but I'm amazed at this spot that I know very well how different it looks this year. There's a ton of blowdown, a lot of sunlight hitting the ground, so it's just bursting with foliage around the bottom, and it actually looks a lot different. So the scrapes are not opened up yet. You can see the remnants of the old community scrape, and actually all the licking branches are gone now. I'm gonna bump along and kind of go through this property, do some camera sets, put in some mock scrapes, see what's going on out here, and thank you guys for stopping and checking out the video. Let's get moving. Okay, so the community scrape used to be over there. All the licking branches are gone. They were all blown down all over. So I just followed this edge. A lot of thick briar and stuff. Big blowdown right here. The trail coming around about 70 yards away. And here we go. They have moved the scrape right here. And it is definitely opened up right now, pretty clearly. Kind of spreads out over there, centralized right here. And they have opened it up again right here. This is actually a better spot to me, right here on this real thick cover. I've scouted this before. I know there's a trail that comes around right here. Real thick, open greenbrier out there, but right here stays real thick. A lot of shade right here. Real dark woods right here. Super thick cover right here. There could be some bedding around this blowdown, I'm not sure. But this is definitely awesome. There's deer in this area that I know and have history with. They're ultra aggressive, it seems like, early season. And this is going to be an absolute perfect spot for a camera. And I'm going to blow this scrape up even more, and we'll start monitoring this thing. I spent way too much time opening up that scrape, really thinking it through. And that spot, what I know about this area, is a social hub. All the bedding is back this way. There's trails right here. There's a wide trail right here on the edge of this briar thicket. This little strip of woods right here, but I will not be hunting up there. That is basically how I get a picture of every deer in this area that I've gotten on all cameras since I've run this property over the years. I usually get them at least right there at least once. And if they're there, I know they're in other spots. But that area is a little too open. It's definitely a social area, but definitely good to know where it is. So just follow that trail around. Right here it opens up into this little just pine needle dead canopy area, but there's all kinds of rubs. Nighttime sign in here, there's some old sign in here. And a little fresh rub right there. And a fresh rub right there. But just a ton of old rubs in here. Always has been. There's also always been a lot of hog sign in here because this little water hole right here, but definitely some buck sign. Walking along this old trail. This is an old cut road down through here, right on the edge of this sea of thin pines and greenbrier. I've got old trails marked out through here, and last year this post oak didn't drop acorns, but it's got acorns this year, and we have our fresh scrape. You can see the claw marks in it over there. Decent little track on that side. That is a nice, thick licking branch. I actually hunted in here, set up on the ground back here last year. I only came in here twice, but saw some coyotes and blew a deer out. So I'm gonna pick this apart a few minutes and then move on. Alright, we are just about ready to move on from this scrape, but I just wanted to rehash something really important. Listen, I'm not a lifelong big buck killer, but I'm just trying to share what I've learned and the success that I've had so far, and echo those who have come before me, who have taught me a lot. You know, the concept of learning a property, you know, you listen to guys like Richard Fott, Michael Perry, and other guys from the South, Josh Driver. You know, Michael Perry, he's hunted the same square mile, 600 and something acres out of tens of thousands of acres his whole life, because he knows it like the back of his hand. You know, that's your style. It depends on what your style, but I know where those guys have been successful for 30 years, so that is one of the biggest starting points that you can take away. And you also notice that I do like to key in on scrapes. I think that scrapes in a low deer density area have more value when used properly. Scrapes in this particular property, they are lined up along the doe bedding. The does come out, they smell them, and right around when doe comes into estrus, they'll pee in these scrapes, and then that buck downwind knows that the doe's ready and he'll be in here. It's exactly what I've seen on camera, and I think scrape lines, that's exactly how they're used. They're laid down perpendicular to doe bedding, so when does cross them, they know that the buck's saying, hey, I'm here when you're ready. You piss right here and I'll be here. But I better get moving because I don't have a lot of time, says the wife. All right, just about to move on, but I wanted to rehash something again for this particular spot, and it's very odd. Right now the wind is actually out of northwest this morning. Since I've been standing here, I've had the wind hit me from the east, from the southwest. I noticed when I was sitting on the ground in here for the first time, and even last year when I came in here the once or twice, the wind swirls right here because you've got a wide open thin pine with greenbrier, all kinds of honeysuckle and berries, and you have this little finger of woods that I'm standing next to, and you've got another real small pine plantation that's real thin. And you got to pay attention to, wind is wind, but wind bounces off of tree lines. It'll hit a tree line and kind of bounce through it and along it and go around the corner, and it may swirl around the corner. And I think that's actually what happens right here. So if I come up in here and ever set up, I need to make sure I set up with a crosswind and probably further back than I should if I'm going to hunt near the scrape, or at least downwind, which is probably the best option, because right now with the bedding being that way, if bucks are coming out this way, then I need to set up back over here with the wind like this. And if it does swirl, and hopefully it picks up and swirls one way or the other, or when it hits the edge of the tree line, it catches the dominant wind and pulls away. So tree lines do affect wind currents, especially when they're light and variable. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about swirling wind. The wind's not swirling, it's just maneuvering through the terrain and through the tree lines and vegetation. That's exactly what happens. And bucks like that.
There's definitely a lot of blowdown. Looks like they had maybe a little tornado that came through. A lot of the dead trees that were standing there all down, but all kinds of litter out through here. So much for not stepping on sticks. You can see all that stuff laid down in there. Well, my access to this area is just blown up. But I used to come in down this creek that goes behind me. This ditch, and one place that I came last year that I'd never been before was this little hillside point. It just drops off real steep. But there's a trail that comes around the point. There's a big rub line that follows it all the way out. This big gradual hill is pretty steep right here. So there's a big trail that goes right at the base of it. And there's big white oaks all through here. And right on that point is right there is a big holly tree with some limbs that hang over that trail. And I just laid a giant mock scrape in there. Other than come through this trash, anything that cuts through this little flat, they go up between that, they're just going to run right into it. And that scent will also drift down here in this bottom, in this feeding area. I wouldn't be surprised to see another scrape pop up. A buck either lay one down next to it or further up on this flat somewhere, but that way I can funnel the deer, try to get a picture. And this little strip of woods also follows up here and just empties out right here on this point. So it's a pretty cool spot. Really like it. I'm not sure how I'm going to come in here. Probably from behind me from this way, probably from down in there, and pop up way over there and set up to shoot this trail. Alright guys, well sorry, but I had to cut this one a little short. I am in big trouble. I'm about 2 hours late, according to the wife, and massive blowdowns. Looked like they had a storm come through here. Really took a lot of time added a lot of time to the loop I wanted to make this morning. But just to rehash again, don't be intimidated by the big blocks. When you find deer, pick about a 250 acre block and grid it, learn it, spend a couple of years learning it. If you find scrapes, you want to use them, make sure they're the right scrapes, interior scrapes. Skip that first edge and go to the next edge you can find inside. Make sure it's in relation to bedding, and pay attention to those wind currents on those interior edges as they whip around them. And keep scouting, guys. Season's coming. Hope you smash a big one. I'm out.